Sandy to speak just now. So let's put your hands together for Sandy. Good afternoon, Glasgow. How are you doing? There's many people know me, many who don't. My name is Sandy Smith. I am a warrior survivor of child sexual abuse. Many have heard my story, but many here today know it. I'm not getting into full detail. The last few weeks, or the last few months, we've been working, the Quarriers Warriors behind the scene, brothers and sisters together. We've been failed badly by governments, by orphans we were in. We want our voices to be heard. We don't just want our voices, we want everyone's voices to be heard. And the best way to do that is come together, brothers, sisters together. This is what it's about today. Bring the groups together, bring the warriors together. We have done it. We have actually done this. I'm looking about right now, and I'm trying to hold back the tears that's coming out my eyes. Scotland, England, Ireland, Wales, we're here the UK Warriors of child sexual abuse have landed. The stories you'll hear today is pretty horrific, be warned. We've got a few guest speakers here today that I'm honoured, more than privileged to stand with. One man left the other day, 1 p.m. in the afternoon, 7 o'clock the following morning, they arrived here in Glasgow. I'm trying to find out, there was someone, I'm sure it was Birmingham we were coming up with, and they were cycling up. I can't see him, but I hope to meet this guy. The distance people's travelled is unbelievable. A big thanks to Robert Sproul and his crew behind me for the PA system. This is about all coming together, groups, warriors, standing tall. As I was saying, my name's Sandy Smith. Going back in time to 1959, I was 8 years of age when my mother took not well, and I was put into Quarriers Orphan Homes in Bridgeway, Scotland. Little did my parents know what was going to happen to me. They did see a change in this child that was so happy, playful, loving. But after my time in Quarriers, my life has changed. And even today, 62 years later, I wake up screaming at night, crying at night with what happened to me. I was taken into Quarriers, I was taken up to the main office. I was taken to the cottage I was going to go in. My abuser, I cannot mention his name, I got arrested. He's protected, I'm not. But anyway, I was taken to this cottage, cottage 24. I was introduced to this man. He took me in and he told me he was my new father. I'd address him as father or son. Standing beside him was a wrinkled old bitch, just as evil. This was my new mother, I was told. Address her as mother. Do you understand, boy? Boy was my name. So, thing I hate, I'm trying to hold back to swearing. I'm a trigger warning, by the way. I do apologise if anything does slip out. But I speak from my heart, I speak openly. I speak out for my brothers and sisters, at Quarriers Orphan Homes, and for every child in the UK who's been abused. But anyway, this man, he told me he was my new dad, wasn't it? And I told him I had a father and mother. And I got a slap over my ear that hard to put me in my backside. I was crying. And he told me to stand, get up, boy, now, boy, get up. That's the way he was talking. Wasn't it? Could you get up? He was, boy! That's shouting. I heard that many times. I'd never seen anything like this in my life, and I see it. I thought I was looking at Satan. The white his eyes turned red. I'd never seen this. I got up, I didn't even know what attention was. I got an arse up for that. I didn't do the longer learning what attention was. One night I was getting ready for bed in one of the laws. I seen his back, and my God, what I seen was frightening. Blood, scabs, you name it. This was a child who was happy-go-lucky. All of a sudden, just like that, his life was changed forevermore. We're still brothers. We all split up. Nothing will take that away from us. This poor child, he's here today. Well, I'm not saying who he is, but he's standing with us as the Quarriers Warriors. Thanks, brother. That was a hell of a lot to me. I'll speak to you after they've come off. We'll get away to this. Don't have a wee word. But I just can't believe it. The distance people's travelled to get here. From Scotland, representing the Quarriers Warriors, Jane and I. From Ireland, the Blair twins. From Wales, Kimberley. From England, Darling. We have done this. We've done this together. But we have done it. But getting on with my story, I'm alright, thank God. But this man, one evening, this young boy, I asked him what happened to him. And he told me I fell out a tree. I believed it, I was young. So many years. And then I seen other kids. The same thing. I fell out a tree. Just after my 80th birthday. 1 week, not even 1 week after my 80th birthday. This man, we were petrified. He had a 2-pronged leather belt. The first thing we had to learn in that home is, in the playroom, we sat in a circle. And we had to read the books of the book, read the Bible. Kids at 5-year-old could hardly pronounce some of these words. And the parents these kids got, that rings in their head, it's still ringing in there. I can hear these kids screaming, that's all I hear, kids screaming. I'm telling that message out today. This is what happens to your kids. It's happening today. And nobody cares. They don't listen. But MPs don't listen. I gave them I look to every MP in Scotland. Come today, support us. Where are you? Where are you, Nicola? Come and meet with me, because I'm calling you out today. Because you should not be leading our country. You can't take care of our children. You come and meet with me, Nicola. You did threaten me. You did threaten me. Said to your crews what you could do, I could go missing. So if I ever go missing, you know who's to blame. Because I am angry, very angry at what I know. And by Christ, I will make it to go in very shortly. Because by Christ, she says you've done to do with a child abuse inquiry. Liar! And I'm calling her out today. I've got everything in proof that I could finish as MP. Either meet with us or I'm going public. That's my call to Nicola Sturgeon today. But anyway, getting on with this. One night, just after my 8th birthday, but sorry, I'll go back this wee bit. But anyway, every night we'd be sitting in this playroom, and he was just pointing at me. You boy! Leviticus, verse number 14 to 28, read it now. Kids at 5, sitting there still, crying, in case they got a word wrong. Because if you get one word wrong, you're grabbed in the neck. You evil man, you're taking the Lord's name to vain. Our shirts, vest was ripped from our body. We were stripped, always in the back, always in the back. I've got scars on my back to this day from abuse. This man gave me. First thing I need to learn was the books of the Bible. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Georgia. I can go on. He did all that. We got a week. 1 week. End of the week come up. I had to stand up in the middle of a circle and recite a bit of the Bible. And I couldn't. I was dragged for there. Dragged. Beating the shit out. I lost my religion. I appreciate, I've got a good guy standing behind us there, Ricky. I think all of that guy. What he believes in. If anyone can get comfort out of that, I'm happy for them. But I can't. I'd love to do that. I just can't. It's hard to me. So this night, came back to just after mate's birthday. We sat in a wooden chair in the dining room. There were 18 boys in this cottage. Table six. After our evening meal, his hand came out. You boy, we don't names. I knew it was me he was talking to. My name was Boy. He goes, you boy! Dishes. I had to gather up the evening meal dishes, the rest of the kids were sent out. I gathered up the dishes, I'd be wash and dry them. I'd done that, they were inspected, put them away. After that I was told, look at your clothes. Look at your clothes, boy, you're a disgrace. Get them off now. Just get them off, and he was shouting with this raging voice at her. He's telling you. I took my clothes off, I had a pair of pants on, I had a vest on. I was shitting myself. Big time shitting myself. I put my hands down in front of me to comfort myself. Because I had to take my vest off. And my pants off. So I put my hands down. Stand at attention, boy! He walked round. He's looking at me. He had a wooden chair. I'd been kneeling at the wooden chair. I felt his hands on my body, rubbing all over my body. I felt his hands inside me. And here's a trigger warning, if there are any kids, block their ears. Because this is where it starts getting, and I want my story to be told. So be warned. I felt his hands inside me. Then I felt his penis inside me. I was shouting to this man, I get told, he'd help me the Lord, and I was shouting so hard. Help me, Lord, please help me. I was crying, I was so desperate just for that help. They never come. No one come. After that, I was thrown on the kitchen floor, and out came this belt I was so frightened of. In my back, I was flogged. Flogged. I don't know how many, but by Christ I felt every stroke. Every single stroke I felt. Can I ask just one question, guys? See when the guest speakers are up, going to keep the noise down a wee bit. Because if people come in here today and they're shitting themselves to come up here, please, if you can keep it a wee bit quiet for them, I'd appreciate it, thanks. Anyway, as I was saying, I got flogged. I didn't know about sex abuse. I was too young, I didn't understand that. But I knew about the beatings. Not one beating, not too many, night after night, till the words, don't tell anyone, was locked in there. This is words used to many of my brothers, my sisters in here. Wow. I still see that, even now. I can see this in my head. This is what we go through. Like we projector playing a film, just switching on. This yours. I can see my abuser. I can see him. I can't mention this so-and-so's name, or I'll get jail. I don't care. I'm too old now. Jail me. Mr. Hill, Quarriers 24. You and your missus, what in hell, you evil bastards. And I'm sorry for what you've done to my brothers, my sisters. I wasn't just sexually abused once. This happened to me 4 times. 4 times. And the more I was asking to stop, it was as if I was turning them on, reaching every thrust. Beaten, beaten, beaten. My life changed. As Jane is with me today, she'll tell you, my schoolwork was good. I wasn't the brightest torch, but I showed. But as I always say, I had the batteries taken out my torch. I gave up my life, I gave up everything. I don't know how many times I've tried to commit suicide. I almost succeeded in 2011. Because the older I got in life, the more I knew the sexual abuse was and how wrong this was. And it started playing in my head. Oh, sorry. And today, I give an apology to my ex-wife and my son, because I never told them. I couldn't tell them, I couldn't even tell my mum and dad, my brothers, my sisters. I just couldn't tell them. I kept this hidden for 62 years. Well, it's destroyed. Almost succeeded. Sorry. Almost succeeded. Just a blonde. Anyway, I've got it now. Almost succeeded in ending my life in 2012, January 2012. I took a massive overdose of pills. I do remember feeling a funny feeling, looking out the window, beautiful day, and going, this is it. I'm free. I'm going to be my mum, my dad, my brothers. All this is going to be left behind. So many times I've seen this. As I was saying about my wife and my son, I do apologise. Because he had to cut me down one night. I took to get caught out my dressing gown, tied it to the bathroom door around my neck. And he kicked the door in. He done that a couple of times. I apologise to people I don't know. I walked out in front of cars. I smashed the bits. Just I want to end my life. I walked out in front of a train. I apologised to that driver because he must have been freaking shocked. Back at home and I'd broken ribs and all sorts. I lay in a bed myself. And I was laying there and everything was just coming back to me more and more and more. And I was sectioned for non-protection at Dykebar Hospital in Paisley. I was that much at risk. They were frightened of me, they couldn't control me. I wanted to die. I was shifted to a more secure place in Kirkcaldy and Fife. Bars in the windows. Security in the door, press numbers. But I discovered how I could get out of this place. And it was at visiting time. And as a visitor was coming up, I'd hold the door on, you go. I get out one door, next visitor, hold the door on, you go through. And I was found in a motorway, sitting like a Buddha. They blocked the motorway off. A couple of years back I was in Edinburgh, and I was talking about this. And a fella came up to Jane and I, and he was in the control room, and he took that call that night. And I went out, get there quick. This man's in a bad way. I was in a bad way, I'll admit that. It took me 7.5 months to get my act together, to where I am today. But the older I was getting in life, the more I was understanding what he done to me was wrong. There's many of us today will be talking things similar. Give respect to them. Keep it a wee bit quiet please, we're trying to talk here. We're trying to get a message out. But this is what happens guys, it's happening today. I wrote to Police Scotland, asking them, how many children who went missing, just went missing, no sexual abuse, went missing in the last year in Scotland? Near it. 180,000, they tell me, 1,000 kids from Scotland has went missing. I said, where are they? Where's the parents? What's happened to all these people? What's happening to them? Place out factory here, Govan Hill, we talk about that later. Every night, I've took Jane up, we've took many up to see this place. A terrific wee girl coming on later, she knows more about it, a lot of talk about it. This place is, I went up, went round twice, we were getting laser paint showing in us. It's not a place to go round twice. I've survived, I'm lucky. A couple of years ago, I come up here. I was invited by the last day, wherever she was in Monday, to speak. And as I arrived here, I get news. And one of her sisters we were giving support to, 62 years of age. She was almost there. Almost there. She didn't make it. She put her over in her neck and hanged herself. This is what happens. The more you understand what's happened to you, the more it destroys you, eats you. Especially the cancer. Cancer can be cured. Child abuse can never. Today, there's a girl standing here. Poof. This girl broke my heart. I love her so much. I've got 2 daughters adopted. Both of them had cancer. One will be here, which is tomorrow, at Quarriers Orphan Homes Graveyard. At 2 p.m. we will be in Quarriers Orphan Homes Graveyard, where 338 little children were laid to rest and had their headstones replaced at Quarriers Orphan Homes at the cheek to tell us. There were never any children buried here. We proved them wrong. We showed them the video, and they even denied it was their graveyard. The William Quarriers headstone there as well. We had to fight, fight, fight. That's all we do in my life. I spend every day in my life fighting for our children, for your children, because I've lived a life that I don't want your children to live. Quarriers Orphan Homes are guilty of so many. We've got all the proof. Designer children? Yes. Certain little girls who were wanting colour hair, colour of eyes, little boys who were looking for. We were sent out to these people to be abused. The Scottish Child Abuse Inquiry, they were asked about these. Who was taking them? We don't know, the records have went missing. A man named as the priest of the bell tower, John Porteous, an evil, evil man who took children up the bell tower, had the cheek to take them into a church and abuse children. And this man saying, I'm a Christian. I ain't Christian. That's not Christian like. Christians don't act like that. In this home. Sorry, do you like children? The answer is yes. Next question. Do you believe in God? Yes. When can you start? Didn't need qualifications. My mother worked in there as a relief cottage aunt. Jane knows my mother. My brother is here today. Oof. He knows my mum. My mum was a good woman. And if I know for a fact, if my mother knew about this, I could have been stopped then. The game was their own son. Hadn't even the guts to tell my mum what was happening. My mother lost 2 kids before me, 2 brothers, elderly brothers. She didn't have to cope and her own health to cope with. My father, he was a hard-working man. This is why I was in this place. Just before I come on here today, there was a man on a bike come in here, I was discussing what he says to me. And I asked him, I goes, you don't even care about me being abused? No. This is what we fight against, day in, day out. The abuse we take is shocking. I had even one guy from Coat Bridge in Lanarkshire, Scotland, because I spoke out about Nicola Sturgeon, tell me, he wish he'd have been there the night I was abused, he would have followed her. And he would have been laughing at me getting abused. Cover your kids' ears, by the way. Here's another trigger warning, this is bad what this man told me. So be warned. This man says, he wish he'd have been there to see me being abused, he would have been laughing. And any night he felt depressed, he could watch this film and have a good wank over me. This is what we take. We get this every day. All these people. It saddens me. I see every day on Facebook, probably yourselves, you've seen the hunter groups out there. The girls behind us and the guys behind it doing the decoys. I don't know how the hell they can do that. I've spoke to a few of them, and the things I've seen has been said to them. It breaks me. I break down just students. I can't read. I've never read a full case. Never. I can't do that. Some of my brothers for Quarriers have come out with books. I've read some of it. I can't do that. I break down. I wrote a book about my life and how it's affected me. How it affected me. It's getting released for Christmas. It's going out in Amazon. It's called The Hidden Secrets of the Warrior Behind the Stone Walls. I don't want anything from it. But I'm involved with a centre called Always Included for children. The girl that started it is here today, and my daughter one, she's just standing there argues away one. This girl has, when money she's pumped into the centre, she started the centre, and just as she started going into lockdown, she never got any government funding, but she still had the rent to pay. And that girl fought it out her own pocket, so that after this lockdown, the kids would have somewhere to go. I'm honoured, I'm proud to be part of this. I'm honoured and proud to know Lynn McLean. I'm honoured and proud to know her family. I had a missing link in my life. Just one missing link to make my life what I wanted it. And I got given that through Lynn. Because my son and my wife, when I was in hospital, sold me out. They're not here, and we're talking. But Lynn come up and took that missing link back. There you go, love. And my kids will call me granddad. That's an honour and a privilege. That is brilliant. I don't know where Chris is, but this guy, I love him so much. I'm going to cut short before I go. I'm going to call an amazing girl up here. And this girl I met when I was 5 years of age in Quarriers Orphan Homes. And I wanted this girl to be my girl. And I did. And we planned our life together. How it was going to be after Quarriers. But at the age of 14 I discovered for the first time what a broken heart was. As Quarriers took her away. And we never seen each other till 48 years later. And we're back together. And it's my girl, Jane. Come on up. I thank each and every one of you for being here. But we have got to start coming more together. Groups. Any groups. Each one of yours. We need your support. We need it. We're asking, we're begging for your support. Give us it. Because today you're going to hear what child abuse does to your life and how our government don't want to know us. Right now, I can get £10,000 paid into my bank account. Right now, of the Scottish Government. But their conditions. On this, I have to sign a waiver. Not just me, not just Jane. Every child or adult who was abused in Scotland, every child, now adult, we can get this £100,000 in our bank account. But we have to sign a waiver stating we will not take the Scottish Government to court. We will take the Scottish Government to court. We will not take the orphanage who were abused into court. We will take the orphans who were abused into court. We will not take our abusers to court. We will. Dead or alive, we're coming for you, you bastards. You described our lives. We have got to do for the children. That's the children. God bless you all. Please guys, take care of your children. Check their devices. I'm handing over to you.
Hello everyone. It's nice to see you all. This will possibly be one of the last ones that I come to. But I want to thank you all because you've all given me support in all different ways. And when you think of abuse, excuse me, could you have the decency to be quiet when a person has got the guts to speak? That's so rude. There's all different kinds of abuse. I could tell you the sexual abuse, the physical abuse, the mental abuse. But what I can't tell you and what I can show you is something that is a reminder to me every day of the abuse, of surgical abuse they did to me. Every child in Quarriers was a designer child. They could get you taken out of Quarriers because a couple want a little girl or a little boy. So if you had something that was disfiguring you, they had to fix it. Well, when I was born, I went into Quarriers when I was 3. When I was born, I didn't have fingers at this side of my hand here, and the same in the middle of this hand. It was just like a stump, there was no fingers. But I was able to grip a bucket and spade, I was doing fine. But Quarriers decided, no, let's experiment. So what they did was they cut down in between each digit of bone. Then they decided, let's put wire on each part of the bones and let's start. So what they did was to put the wire on the ends, and every month I had to go up so that they could pull the wire even stronger. Have you ever seen someone with a broken leg and they turn the wires? Well, that's what was happening to my hand. So, I'm okay, yeah, I'm fine. So, as the years went on, I still had to go through all this, even when I was in my 20s, to get the repair work done on my hands. Was that bad? They couldn't do anything. But what I'm really wanting to point out to you is Quarriers was not the place that I should ever have been in. They took me 100 miles from my hometown in Dundee and kept me there with no visitors, nothing. Force feeding, wet the bed, everything little children do.
Cool it, guys. Cool it, please.
That's all right. They've got to go up eventually. Not into much, I don't think. But every morning when I wake up, oh, I'm trying to say this. Every morning when I wake up, I am left with this. So when you wake up, the first thing is a cup of coffee. When I wake up, the first thing is to wash my hands, and the flashback to being a little child, being operated on, is with me constantly. It's not working. Yeah, constantly. Yeah, okay. I don't hate anybody. I blame. I'm angry. I'm angry at a system that can get away with mutilising children. Children that are not even broken, they decide to fix. We were getting injections, we were getting surgery, we were getting all these tests. Quarriers had their own doctors, 4 doctors. So nobody from the outside ever saw what was going on inside Quarriers. Now, our stories are being told. We have been up in front of Lady Smith at the abuse inquiry, and my story is there, and I will take them to court, and I will sue them. They've offered to pay up to £100,000. No, I'm not signing no little bit of paper. I am suing the Scottish Government, and I am suing Quarriers Homes. And that's all I've got to say. I'm sorry, I'm not going to say any more. Thank you.
And she took me behind the sofa, and from that day at 3 years old I had a photographic memory of what had happened to me, and that was in my own home. Her name was Tracy, she was blonde, she was about 19 to early 20s. And all I remember is my head being forced down onto her blonde pubic hair, and she told me to do things, and then afterwards I can remember the colour of the carpet, everything, and that's my first childhood memory. Then she took me to the sink and she washed my arm down. She said you've been very naughty, and if you speak about this you'll get in trouble. Well, I knew by 3 years old what happens to naughty boys if they speak out and they've been in trouble, and my parents would have beat the shit out of me. Anyway, I got over that. I will say there's two police forces fighting for me at the moment, and they're doing all right. But then I went through a life of poverty, violence, abuse, mental, physical, getting beat up by my father, and then I tried to get over being over 3 years old, and then at nine years old, on a Friday night, a man crept into my bed. His name was Joe. And every Friday night for the next 2 years he abused me. I had to live with this in silence, I had to keep quiet. I was getting beaten up all the time. But this isn't about me. I also heard my father raping my sister, and that noise sticks in my head. But when I heard my father raping my sister, that really broke me, because I couldn't do nothing. I was little, I was scared, and if I'd have said anything, that man would have beat me up. But this happens today, now. It's happening somewhere, right now. I've got a lot of followers, and this is going out worldwide to a lot of my supporters and people nationwide and worldwide, from New Zealand to India. I've got a lot of supporters and followers. But I've got Joe and Bobby and Sandy here, and these people are the salt of the earth. These people helped save my life, because if they hadn't have spoken out, I wouldn't have spoken out. And that's what today is about speaking out. I see the girl there with the Birmingham top on, the milk carton kids. On my journey from here, from Great Yarmouth in Norfolk, I travelled to Birmingham where the milk carton kids disappeared. I travelled to Manchester where kids have disappeared. Every town I stopped in, I thought of a child that has been disappeared and raped. There was even one in my own town, he went missing and he's never been seen again. His name was, I can't say it. But I'm not going to go on too much because I don't want to hurt people, but it's not a nice thing being abused. It haunts you for the rest of your life. People say to you, well, get on, it was a long time ago, get on with it. You've got to move. You can't do that. You wake up in the morning and you think, them fuckers fucked me up. And you go to sleep at night and you think, Now, what I'm doing here is, if I had gone to a care home with my story, they would have looked on that list and said abused, violently, emotionally and sexually. And if I'd have gone into a home, I would have been targeted there as well. And there's not enough of us out here stopping this. There's not enough of us. We're trying hard, but there's not enough, and there needs to be more. We need to highlight that today there's another Tim, there's another Alan, there's another Sandy, there's another Joe and Bobby out there, right? And all I've tried to do today is come here and say, look, right, we will fucking come when we're called, and we'll fucking protect children. And if that dickhead on that bike comes back, I'm going to knock him the fuck out. Because he was very rude. Yeah. I want to get arrested in Scotland. I want a souvenir. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there to the professionals because I'm just an amateur. These boys, Alan, Sue, Jean, Darren Webster was supposed to be with me today, but he didn't come because of heart problems. Darren Jeffries, you'll know him as, good friends of mine. But we're here today, so I've got to go have a pint and something to eat. But Sandy's looked after me. I've been to Quarriers. Joe and Bobby, all of us. I've got girls here, Lynn, who's looking after the kids. I've got Catherine and Mel here, all looking after me. And thank you for having me, Scotland.
Back again, and it's always an honour to stand here amongst great campaigners, fellow survivors, and great-minded people that understand what we went through as children. All my family was abused in childcare. I was in abusive childcare and in care from virtually birth. They've got me because the records they keep of us are all redacted, wrong, things are misplaced, blacked out or whited out, and they got me in care before I was actually born. So the records right through my life were like this, and trying to chase the councils up to get my records of what happened to me was very, very difficult. I was in 4 or 5 children's homes before I was even 6 years of age. At 6, I went before the court system, and a judge looked down at me, a 6-year-old child, and said to me, "Would you like to go to the seaside, sonny boy?" I'd never been to the seaside. I was the youngest of 4 siblings. Seaside. Everybody wants to go to the seaside. Every child wants to go to the seaside. They stuck me in a children's home called Beach Home in Banstead, Surrey. It's on my t-shirt now. This was a very, very abusive children's home. I was in 3 out of 4 abusive cottages, 24 cottages in this house, in this home. And I was beaten sexually, physically, mentally, and even to this day, I still have nightmares and trauma about what happened to me. I'm in my 60s, and my mind never seems to let me forget. I have nightmares, and it just doesn't take anything to trigger them off. And I go back, and that little boy inside me comes out and wants to tell the story, and that's why I stand here, telling my story to this day. They put me in a house called Laburnum. Each of these houses were named after trees, and there was this woman called Grace Robinson and Audrey Wilson. They said, "You have to call them auntie and uncle." They were no relation to mine. They weren't my guardians. They weren't my true carers. They showed no love and affection. They used to beat me. They used to put carbolic soap in my mouth. They used to put carbolic soap in my eyes. They used to scrub me with a floor scrubbing brush. They used to slap me in the bath until there was too much water on the floor. I was in the dormitory one night, and Audrey Wilson, the street lights used to flicker, and the shine on the ceiling, and the pattern was broken one night by Audrey Wilson leaning over my bed and touching me under the bedclothes. And I was so frightened, I curled into a little ball, and I lit up underneath the window ledge, and I wet the bed. I stayed there till morning light, and I was in so many different houses. They used to bring male staff to beat me if I disobeyed. We had to do as we're told. We weren't allowed to answer back. There's an old saying, little boys were seen and not heard. And the men used to punch you with their fists, punch you in the stomach, slam you on the floor, kneel on you, hold you down, rub their genitals on your back, bath you. They had this terrible thing about the bathrooms. My sister Marjorie, I'm going to hold a picture up. This is my sister Marjorie. She was one of 4 of my family. I've got 2 sisters and another brother, Frank. We were all abused in the same children's home. Look at Margie's eyes, people. Look at her eyes. She was being abused most of her childhood by a guy called Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray. Is that right? Yeah. Mr. Gray in Thistle Cottage. Look at that poor girl's eyes. She's lost. There's a photograph of me, similar, and my eyes are lost as well. This was a loveless childhood with no love and affection. It was a cruel, hard life. The amount of times we were beaten, punched, slapped. They put me in shorts as a young child. And they used to use that as kind of like a weapon for children, to slap the backs of their legs. And they'd make you red raw. And then when they bathed you with this carbolic soap, this red carbolic soap, it used to burn you so badly on the wounds that you already sustained. And the punishment used to make you stand and face the wall for hours and hours on end until your little feet couldn't take it anymore and you fell to the floor. They used to put the same food in front of you if you refused to eat your food. They gave you the same food the next day until you ate it. They gave me some fish one day and a bone stuck in my throat because I was forced to eat it. It scarred the back of my throat and the bone got stuck in the back of my throat. I think I couldn't eat for about a week or so afterwards. All I was eating was bread. And some of the things that happened to her in Beecham was terrible. The abuse went on to another children's home called Shirley Oaks. And Shirley Oaks has had an ICSA, like a Scottish Government inquiry into the child abuse that's happened in Scotland. ICSA is a similar thing to the Scottish Child Inquiry. And Shirley Oaks, the things that have come out of Shirley Oaks are the same as what happened. Almost like a paedophile ring going into these children's homes, and like it was some sort of sweet shop to a paedophile by picking off these children. Jimmy Savile went to Beecham in 1972. Margie, there's a difference. I was the youngest. I'm about 4 or 5 years younger than Margie. I had an elder sister called Anne. I used to call her Mummy Anne because she was the only one that looked after us. Margie was taken from Beecham by staff and put on a train at Banstead Station. And they said, look at this. And this is about the same age of this photograph. And they put this young girl on this train. A member of staff took her to Banstead Station and said to this little girl, driver, can this young girl ride up with you, driver, to be safe rather than in a carriage on her own? The driver abused her in the cab. On her leaving Beecham, not only had she been through abuse in Beecham, Margie, I'm telling my story about Margie, because Margie went on in her life, and I'm going to dedicate this to Margie. She's passed, Margie. She never done anything wrong in her life. She had trauma. This is a picture of my sister Margie later in life, and you can see she's a beautiful, beautiful woman. And you know, just look at her. Look how beautiful she was. And she was abused for just being such a pretty young girl. She was desperate to have children and give the children the love and affection that none of us had as children in care. She was so desperate she couldn't have children with her partner. She went on fertility treatment, and they said to her, if you stay on fertility treatment for too long, there is a chance you can get cancer. Margie was so desperate to have children and look after the child like we hadn't been looked after. She stayed on the fertility treatment in desperation for something like over 8 years, and she ended up getting breast cancer. I said to Margie, he was in remission at one stage, but the cancer came back and it went to her liver. My beautiful sister passed in 2002. She was 50 years of age. She went through 25 years of abuse like I did. She found a life. She wanted children, and she wanted to give her children what we never had. I still live to this very, very day. I've been to see psychiatrists, and they say to me, Alan, there's nothing wrong with you. The only thing wrong with you is your memory, and your memory will never let you forget. Thank you, Scotland.
Unlike the rest of you, well, there's a lot of people here who are warrior survivors of serious sexual abuse. I'm not like that. I'm a survivor of abuse. I'm a survivor of the fist. And it's made me the fighter I am today, and that's why I'm up in Scotland. I'm fighting for every child in the UK, and I'm fighting against the sex education. A year ago I started a campaign against the RSE, the sex education they've brought into the UK. The leaflets you've got in your hands, I printed last July. Oh, I'm sorry, I haven't introduced myself, I'll do it at the end. I'm sorry. So the leaflets you got in your hand, the green ones, we had printed last July. The information on them came from your country. Most of you don't even know what's going on. This sex education that our governments have signed up to, England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales, they signed the same document on the 1st of March 2017. It's a global sex education. I'm just going to show you a little bit of the lesson contents now that I've taken from your country. So if my colleague Rachel can come up and we'll just have a look at this. This is just a little something that I took from your curriculum. You can go on your own government website and find 100 lesson plans. These are your lesson plans. We're telling children how to have sex here. They're telling you how many people have orgasms. There's facts about oral sex, there's facts about anal sex. We got facial ejaculation, and this is what Sandy spoke about on his live. That is anal sex. And they explain how to have anal sex to prevent pregnancy. And the picture they use is banana and Nutella. I think about 96% of the Scottish population thought that was inappropriate. The Scottish Sun wouldn't print it in the paper. The Scottish government don't want you to know about this. Just like the Welsh government don't want our people to know about us, and neither do the English government want the English people to know what's going on there either. But I've got some bad news for you now, guys. I'm part of an organisation called Public Child Protection Wales. And the reason why it's only two of us here today is because we have to take our government to court. The rest of our team are currently doing the 3 peaks to raise money for that. Why do we have to take our government to court? We've been legislated against in Wales. We have sex education from the age of 3 to 16 with no parental opt-out. My country think your country are great. My country want the same children's rights as your country. Do me to tell you what's happening in my country? We have a hierarchy of rights. Children's rights. Underneath that we got the sexual and reproductive rights. Underneath that are the parental rights. We have no rights, okay? We have no rights. We can't campaign against a single lesson. We can't ask for our parental opt-out back because there is no one lesson. It is incorporated right across the curriculum. Maths, science, geography, history. There's nothing to fight against anymore. Yesterday we went to Edinburgh. We went to see Richard Lucas of the Scottish Family Party. He showed us another piece of classroom material, shall we say. Classroom resources. And what we're being told this is an inclusive education rights all across the border. But what we've got now in maths, we're asking children to calculate the area of not just a flag, but the pride flag, the LGBT flag. Pushed in right at the very beginning. Right as young as they can be, we are pushing this onto children. In Wales, it's starting from age 3, as I said, okay? We are told this safeguards, we are told this to protect from STIs, we are told this to protect against teenage pregnancies. So can someone please tell me why the deadline for this education in my country for the 3-year-olds is September next year? But the deadline for the 15-year-olds is 2025. We're coming after our kids. There's a lot of people here from the care system. I am here so we don't have to listen to these stories in another 30 years' time. Because let me tell you now, our children have sexual and reproductive rights. Our children's rights override parental rights. I used to be a children's rights activist. Now I can't stand them because I know what they're being used for. Our children have a right to be safe. Our children have a right to be protected. We can't do that anymore. If we want to remove our children from school, from these lessons, we are breaching our children's right to an education. What happens then? What will the schools do with this parent that's asking these problems? They're going to phone social services. And then we're back to where we started. Why have all these men been campaigning all these years? Why? If we're fetching in this education now, children are being taught how to consent from birth. I would like you all to go onto our website, publicchildprotectionwales.org, and you will see the investigation we've done, the original documentation, the proof, the evidence, your lesson contents are all on there. Supported and sponsored by NSPCC. Now, I don't have to tell a lot of people here today what our issue is, because you already know. But you know what I'm faced with day after day after day after day? I'm showing people these documents and they keep saying they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that. So there's Rachel now. What have we got here, Rachel? So here we have, this year at 39 names on this list, like this conviction list, conviction. How hard is it to get a conviction for sex abuse? Close on impossible, yes. So here I have a list of convictions. Convictions. Convicted politicians, convicted councillors, convicted mayors, convicted school governors, convicted children ministers. All there, all referenced, all checked. That hasn't been updated for about 3 years. But they would never do that. They would never do that. So what are we going to do about it, guys? We can't fight policies anymore. What's the point? They're fighting policies in England. They've had a little bit of a parental opt-out back. Yay! No. We are the last in 52 countries to get this education. Once it comes in, it doesn't go back. I'm a criminologist, child sex abuse. I've looked at these documents. I don't read documents and follow instructions. I read documents and I say, what's that? Who wrote that? Where did it come from? Who said that? Who paid for that? Have you ever heard of Kinsey, Alfred Kinsey? Well, let me tell you now, in our documents, in our sex education documents, we are sexual from birth. How are we sexual from birth? How are we going to get science for that? You go and have a look at the Kinsey report, Alfred Kinsey. I've also done a video on YouTube, PCP Wales, look it up. Look at the history of our sex education. I do not say a word unless I can reference it, unless I can evidence it, and that evidence is solid. The table you will find, I think it's table 34, you'll see the evidence, the science behind our sex education. They timed how long it would take for a child to, and I use this term loosely, orgasm. They timed them in the space of 24 hours. They had a stopwatch, okay? Don't take my word for it. Look at the documentary, Kinsey's Paedophiles. They will tell you themselves, okay? The youngest child on that table was 2 months old. If you read the book, it will tell you the actions of these children. They were convulsing, they were fidgeting, they were screaming, they were pulling away. That was a sign of sexual pleasure, apparently. So people say, oh, but the Kinsey Institute, that was years ago. That was years ago. So why do our 1998 sex education documents reference him? Why are we now having an education from UNESCO who are advised by the Kinsey Institute? Look it up, I'm not lying. Oh, but that research was years ago. So why? Why have they still got an app, a mobile phone app, and they still collecting this data? Now here's for the big one, guys. This is the big one, and I've seen this document, and I will send you this document. I am just waiting, biding my time before I tear it apart because I need to get out of a certain situation, but time is running out. 3 weeks' time, I'll be shouting it from the rooftops in Wales. The Scottish Government have invested £1 million into LGBT youth to decriminalise sexual activities with young people. The definition of young people from the World Health Organization and the United Nations is age 10 to 24. There's a connection to Wales in that. That's why I haven't gone to town on it yet, but I will be. So yeah, that's the way we're going, guys. They're going to legalise sex with young people, decriminalise sex with young people. Their definition is from age 10. So like I said, half my team is not here today. Why are they not here? We've got to take our government to court. We've got a really good high-profile barrister. The legal details, we haven't said a single word publicly because this is a radical piece of legislation. It's going to need a radical response. It's going to need an ambitious response. Are we going to win? Probably not. Can we win? Yes. We can win before getting to court. All we have to do is bring Cardiff to a standstill. If we could bring Cardiff to a standstill, Cardiff isn't a fraction of this. If we could bring Cardiff to a standstill and stop it there, we can stop it in the rest of the UK. We haven't had the lessons like you guys have had. We haven't had none of it. What have we had? This piece of legislation, guys. This piece of legislation, age 3. No parental opt-out. Masturbation. Consent. Know what feels good. Listen to your body. If you want someone to touch you, they can. I'm a criminologist. Child sex abuse, exploitation, perpetrators of abuse, models of offending, barriers to disclosure. I've asked every single person in my government to come out and speak to me. I can take apart every single lesson plan and I can show a barrier to disclosure. I can show where perpetrators can get to our children. Nobody will listen. The IICSA have just published a report. In that report they say sex abuse in schools is an open secret. I'm currently writing a report myself and working with data never been used before. I can tell you the data that's been churning out over the past year. Our fitness to practice panels in Wales for teachers, a third is actually sorry guys, we lost them. Right, guys, I'm coming to an end anyway. So yes, all I want, guys, is we've got fundraisers going, we've got
got another crowd justice coming. Like I said, it's not the money that matters, it's the people, it's the contributors, okay? One person give us £1,000. It's great. But 1,000 people bringing their £1 personally means far more. So we need to come together. We all need to come together. I've travelled here from Wales, Rachel's come with me. The whole team would have been with me.
Two.
Yay! So yeah guys, so we've got to come together. This is not Wales's fight. It's not Wales's fight. It's our fight. We are the United Kingdom. We do not have devolved governments. That is a lie. The documents prove otherwise. This division is there for us not to know what's happening over the borders. Scrap the borders. Scrap them. Because it takes a village to raise a child, but it's going to take a country to keep them safe. It's as simple as this, guys. It started in your countries. You've gone too far. It's gone too far. The SNP have had the lesson plans in your classrooms for a long, long time. England, they got sexual stimulation for 4-year-olds in 242 schools. And nobody knew about it. I'm asking you all to think about this seriously. Look at the evidence, listen to everyone's stories here today and make a decision. Are we going to start small and take them all? Are we going to start in Wales and set example? It doesn't matter where we are. It doesn't matter who we are. It matters that the kids have got people to stand up for them. And we are the people to do that. Yeah? Yes, that's what I like to hear. So please guys, subscribe to our website, publicchildprotectionwales.org. We're only a year old, but we've got big plans, we've got big ambition. We need reform. Our team, the team we have got are absolutely incredible. They are the government's worst nightmare. Why are they the government's worst nightmare? They're the kids that came from the street that got educated. Yeah, they don't like that, do they? They don't like that. So we're the street kids that got educated. We are fearless, we're ambitious, and we can fight to the death, and fight to the death we will. Thank you, Scotland.
Hi everyone, I'm here to speak on behalf of my daughter, my grandson. I'm reading this on behalf of Anne and her daughter. Justice for Jay's statement. In January 2020, 1 week before my son's 4th birthday, he was sexually abused by Adam McMaster. Remember that name, Adam McMaster? His mother was a family friend and we invited them up from Manchester to stay with us. On the 17th of January 2020, Kerry Wilson, Adam's mother, told Adam to take care of Jace, my grandson, in the bedroom to play on the PlayStation. He double locked the doors, sat my son on the bed and told him what he was going to do to my son. My son told him no, but Adam told Jace to be quiet and forced himself on my son. After raping my baby, he told him that if he told anyone, he would kill Jace and kill his family. From that moment, my son was left traumatised and in fear of his life. He stole my son's innocence, destroyed his childhood and left my son with a life sentence. Jace kept himself to himself for 6 months and finally opened up and told us what happened. I went straight to the police that night, begging them to help me. A video interview was set up for Jace. I wasn't allowed in the room to be with my traumatised 4-year-old. After the video interview, the police told me Jace had managed to give them more details than he first told me. Things no 4-year-old would know or ever understand. The police told me that with what Jace had told them, this was enough to go to court, but they wanted to do more investigation. During the investigating, Adam McMaster to this day has never been questioned, yet in 2017, when Adam was 13 years old, he was at Swinton Police Station being interviewed for the rape of a young boy and his little sister. They had all the evidence against Adam, but like JC's case, wasn't taken to the High Court because of Adam's apparent lack of understanding. Yet he knew what he was doing the minute he threatened to kill my 3-year-old son if he told anyone what he had done. Also, during the investigation, 7 other victims came forward, also from Manchester, children and adults. The police spoke with these other victims but failed to log their statements. Since 2017, Adam has restrictions put in place by his social workers and Manchester Police. He is not allowed anywhere near any children under the age of 18 years old. His mother and the social work failed to abide by these restrictions and allowed Adam to mix with children in his street and stay with us in Scotland, knowing that my sons would be at risk from him. Social workers, police, child protection and the Scottish justice system has failed my son. I have appealed the court decision not to take this to court twice. I raised my concerns of Adam being free to walk the streets. It's going to take him to kill a young child for them to open their eyes and something is done about this beast. We have been in contact with the Lord Advocate, but he has now stepped down. My mum is also dealing with the new Lord Advocate. My mum has had phone calls back and forth with Adam's social workers and managers. She told my mum that it was her who done the reports for the CID and that. They are not saying this didn't happen to Jace. They know something happened, but they feel Adam would not cope with being locked away. But what about my son? He's destroyed my boy's life. My baby boy seen a counsellor last week. That has now stopped due to lockdown. This has never been continued. He wets himself constantly because of the thoughts in his head and horrible nightmares. He has almost every single night. He's terrified and he's scared to meet new men. He can't trust anyone. My baby isn't the same little boy anymore. He suffers on a daily basis for what Adam put him through. They are allowing him to live his life as normal after raping children because they think he wouldn't cope being behind bars. How do you think Adam's other victims and the victims of human rights, now that has been taken away, how are they coping? Where is the justice in that? 3 years old my grandson was, now let that sink in. Because this boy has learning disabilities and mental health, he's not being jailed for raping children. Where's the justice in that?
Justice system's corrupt!
So, like Laura's just told you, and this is Anne, God love her, she's emotional today. But little JC's story, this wee boy has raped more than three children, and his mother is placing him in situations where he can get to rape children. Why is this mother, why is this mother not being jailed? Why is she not being jailed? She's walking about with a loaded weapon and setting them on children. Something needs to be done in this case. Like, the mother's as guilty as the son here. She keeps befriending families and allowing her son who rapes children to get free time with these children. There's a lot more to this story, we don't know what goes on, but we know what happened to Jace. He wasn't the first and he won't be the last. And more people have came forward in the last week. This wee guy's running about with a licence to rape children, all because they're saying he's got mild autism. Like this, these people need removed off the streets. Jacey's mum and gran are absolutely terrified. Where's Jacey's justice? This guy threatened to murder Jacey's whole family. He threatened to murder little Jace if he spoke up. That wee boy spoke up and he's told his family now. Where's his justice, knowing that guy's still running about out there? What does the justice system say to children when they fail to prosecute these murderers and these torturers? They give their families a life sentence in hell and the children are left to see that these people are allowed to do this in our country. It's so wrong. Like, we need to change the laws, guys. If the laws, me and Laura campaigned to get straight remands for paedophiles when they've been charged with a sexual crime against their children, remand them straight away. If that had happened, Jace would never have got out of Scotland. Adam would have never got out of Scotland. Adam McMaster and his mother's pictures are on Jacey's flyer. I have a poem here, guys. This was written for Jace by a satanic rituals abuse survivor, and she wanted to write a poem from a child's mind as she'd been through it herself. She wrote a poem for Jace, and what was the name of the group? and it's Shell Robinson from the We Hear You group, and she wrote this for little Jace. So justice for Jace. I was a happy, carefree little boy, and then my life changed. A child rapist entered my life, and could everybody please be quiet, please? Right, this is a poem from the eyes of Jace, what happened to wee Jace at 3 years old. I was a happy, carefree little boy, and then my life changed. A child rapist entered my life, and from that day my life was rearranged. He took my innocence before I even knew what it was. He left my family heartbroken, fighting a never-ending cause. See, they want justice for me, and they bravely fight for this every day. The paedophile should be held to account, so another little boy won't have their childhood taken away. I know my mummy loves me, and I know she's so sad. I don't really understand why. I'm only four years old, a small lad. I try my best to be happy, and I play and fool around, just like any little boy, but at night I'm scared and I break down. I didn't used to wet the bed, and I wasn't plagued with nightmares. I used to sleep soundly before I was told the system don't care. You see, my rapist walks free while I'm locked in a world of my own. Because my rapist has learning difficulties, it seems the violence is condoned. He is deemed a vulnerable adult, but I'm just a little boy. What will this man do next? My mummy's scared another childhood will be destroyed. I may not have been the first, and my mummy's fear is I won't be the last. How many of us will be hurt and will be haunted by our pasts? I don't know what my future holds, and I know my mummy worries. She wants me to grow up happy, but right now there is no hurry. I want to be a carefree boy and enjoy my childhood. My mummy will make this happen, but that night remains misunderstood. Maybe that's why my mummy cries, because she sees how much I've changed. The world now seems an unsafe place.
Mandy, you're a trooper.
Because of a man deranged. I don't want that man to hurt others, but nobody listens to me. I'm just a little boy the justice system don't care to see. But what happens in the future if this man continues to walk free? Will the next little boy be killed, or will there be others hurt like me? I know my mummy wants him in jail. That means he doesn't walk around free, because he can't do to others what he done to me. It's not nice having nightmares, and it's not nice wetting the bed. It's not nice being able to trust, and it's not nice remembering what he said. Mine and Mummy's lives has changed, but his remains the same. He hasn't been punished, and so he hasn't been told he's to blame. If he doesn't think he's a bad man, then Mummy worries others will be hurt. He's told he's above the law and can carry on being a pervert. One day I will be a teenager and eventually a grown man. Will I be haunted by that night? I know that's not in my mummy's plans. So she will carry on fighting for justice, and that makes me so proud. I know my mummy loves me, and she goes out of her way to shout that out loud. Still, I want us to be happy, but that day meant everything changed. Will everything ever be normal again? It seems everything has been rearranged. I'm still that little boy, and there is still joy in my soul. That day may have changed everything, but he doesn't deserve to be in control. He may be beyond the law, it seems, and the justice system is a joke, but I will be as happy as I can because my family isn't broke. My mummy will always love me, and that fills me with joy. She tries to make everything better because I will always be her little boy. Be now or in the future, she will always do best by me, so that day doesn't have to change everything because my mummy still sees me. In her eyes I am her world, and she is always by my side. That will always be the case, and so we can all move on with pride. Justice for Jace! Right guys, we're going to be campaigning for Justice for Jace in Glasgow on a Saturday as well. and we're going to be working with Anne and stuff to try and get these laws changed. Something needs to change, and this family needs justice. The perpetrator's still running about raping children.
Tell them they all need to look after people like fucking Jace for once instead of themselves.
Yep, you all need to start looking out for your children, and they're our future generations. We need to protect them.
Justice for Jace!
Justice for Jace!
The last petition that me and Mandy put out was to have anybody that was charged with a sexual offence against a child remanded instantly. It had 300 signatures on it. We literally get laughed out of Parliament. When we do this petition for Jace, we need every single person behind us. This is important. This is a 4-year-old baby that was raped and had to talk about how he was raped and what happened to him. We need everybody to get behind us. 300 people isn't enough. Fucking wake up, open your eyes and see what's happening here. We need everybody to get behind us. These babies are being raped in front of their own eyes, and we need to do something about it.
Adam McMaster, you're a dirty beast and I'm fucking coming for you.
Yeah! We're all coming for you, Adam McMaster!
Just a couple of months before he died, in July, we had the corporation man in, and he was fixing for smoke alarms in my house. So I'm standing at the hall with the two older men, and they're putting up the alarms, and Reese's in the background with this music on, and it was swearing and talking about dirty women, and I was mortified. And I'm running in the room and I'm saying, get out of my house, guys, you need to put that off, you need to put that off. It says it's embarrassing. And it's just like things like that but are missing. Just how funny he was. How good he was with the kids. He's got sisters, he's got a wee brother, he's 2, a sister at 6, a sister at 12, and a sister at 13, a cousin at 7, and another cousin at 12 as well. And they're all missing him. He used to take them out walks and things. And it's just look things like that were missing. And then if I was coming home, he would come away down the stairs and help me with my bags. That's just what type of wee boy he was. And he left our house on 24th of July 2019 to get a wee drink because it was a sunny day. He bumped into a beast at the shops, at the Easter House Shopping Centre, now known as the Loch. He was found 2 weeks later, half naked, with just his Celtic top on, and that's when the corruption started with the police. They did nothing for him. They didn't do door to door. Then a few weeks later, we received a video of his body getting pulled out with big bits of rope. And then when they got him up and they threw the rope, the thing down, and you seen his body moving. That was the DNA, everything was away. They didn't put up a tent. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks very much. They didn't put up a tent. They said to us that they wanted to get him out quick, and that was the reason, but it was pulled out in the beside Blackadder Drive in Easter House, in front of a whole lot of kids and women, and everything was all out in their back, and everybody all watched that. So this is at 12 o'clock in the day. They didn't come to us till 6 o'clock at night. He told us what happened with Reese, and as he left the house, he said, if anything happens to that DD, I'm coming for yous. So I'm saying to my husband, what's he talking about? I said, she's going to get lifted because she was the last person to see Reese alive. She's already done that to other people, to 3 other people, and when we were going up looking, people were coming to me with stories. So I'm 58 and I've never heard of these horrendous stories in my life. And I was going down and I'm saying to my husband Stephen, and his mum Stephanie and his dad Scott, and my other daughter Amanda, I'm saying seen what they're saying about her. I said, that can't be true. But believe me, every single word was true. But all these people have come on Stephanie's Facebook and said to Stephanie what's happened. Now, they've all went away and they don't want to help. But they've already put these stories into Stephanie's head about what's happened. Stephanie needs help. She needs other people to come and stand up. She's just a bit of scum in the street. She's nothing. She's absolutely nothing. And I don't know why they're so scared of her. I've not got a clue why. But she is, definitely, she's a police informer. She's definitely a police informer. People told us that as well. Because no way could anybody get away with that. No way. But she moved out of her house. She'd done it to 3 other people. But when she done it to these, she moved. So why did she move? Because she knew that us, the Barnardo Divine family, will never, ever let her lie. Never. If I have to die in my bed, I'll get up every day and I'll hunt her down and I'll get her myself. Because when she's put her family through, the dirty scum Donna Drummond.
One Barnardo will get her accountability. She's not threatening Donna Drummond or nothing. She's accountability to the post and accountability to the post as well. To the post, absolutely disgusting. They're sitting in a van and have a cup of tea, looking at us, looking at a guy out there, drinking a can of lager out the street. 9 times out of 10, they take a can of lager away and they want you and that's it. But no, because it's been this quality, they want to make a point here in front of everybody and trying to get us antagonised to cause a wee argument or a fight so we can deal half this for breaching the peace. Now, we're trying to get in here and do everything normal, peacefully, we can do. I'll do everything in my lifetime for Reese Boner and John Conley and the rest of the people. We Jason's are missing now, you know what I mean? Jamie Cannon is a missing. I'll let you go back to Linda Boner. I'm Linda Boner's husband.
Go on, Lynn.
It's just how strong my daughter is. She's feeling down just now because of these trolls as well. It's on the pages. But nobody's done for their son what she's done. And he'd be proud. Because he was always proud of her. Because at the end of the day, she's only 38. And to have to lose a baby is very hard because I don't like it in my grandson. And he was so proud of his mum. As I said, she'd do everything, it doesn't matter what. And I would like to thank Ali Cocaine as well, and his wife Michelle. We can't thank them enough. They're fantastic, no one seems to care. Alex stepped in to start the very start because Alex thought, he says that these stories can't be true either. He didn't think either that that's the way the police have been. They've been absolutely disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And for an instance, one of the days they came up to her door. Now they're told they've not to go to her door, not unless they've told me or her dad, so we can go up and sit with her, sit with the kids. So here she's sitting one day, and she sees the police and he shouts her out, and he opens up the boot and hands his clothes that he had on that day to her. Asked her to get plastic bags. Could you put these clothes in these bags? So the wee girl at 6 is sitting and she's all excited saying, is that Reese coming home? Is that Reese coming home? But it's not the two police's fault. It's the top people. It's that Ian Livingston. See you, Ian Livingston, you've got a lot to answer. I'm dying to meet you. I'm absolutely dying to meet you.
Ian Livingston, you're a fucking scumbag. Why are you a job, mate? Why are you a job? After the hand to you in court.
Stand down. Right, that was all I just wanted to say. Stephanie, I love you with all my heart. And you're my hero. You're my hero.
Hi everyone. My name's Nora. I'm up pleading for information of the death of my son Johnny. In 2019 he was making his way home from Glasgow city centre and he decided to take a shortcut home at Cowcaddens underground up to Spears Wharf Canalway. And this was about 10:30 at night. And he's taking a shortcut. And the mate, I don't know if it's one person or two persons or whatever.
I know you and Johnny, I'm trying to put it through to England. I love you.
Thank you.
Alright?
Thank you. Because there's not a lot of CCTV cameras up there. So they couldn't make out these shadowy figures in the CCTV. But they assaulted my son. My son was on his own, he was only 28. And they assaulted my son with a weapon. And then his body ended up in Spears Wharf Canal. And he lay in there for a week before he was discovered. And I'm just looking for them to have information that night, if you could put your minds back to 2019, the 15th of July, up at Spears Wharf, or if you've heard anything about what happened to my son. As small as it, but even if you think it's no significant, it could be, but I'm needing to get justice for my son. My son didn't deserve that. It's only a young guy making his way out. He should be able to walk anywhere in Glasgow and feel safe without fear of getting assaulted or murdered. We've got families, we want to grow up in safety. You know, like mothers are always worried about Johnny. Even my daughters are now, they're young and that, they go out and you're sitting there waiting them coming back, you know, and what a relief when they come in the door. But I just find now the way the world's gone, it's just getting worse and worse. You know, you hear it every day, you open a newspaper, there's some tragedy going on. And always if I see like, somebody else lost a loved one, like a poor family, I know exactly what they're going to have to. They don't realise yet, but they'll realise, I know exactly what that family's going to go through, because I've been there. And I'll support anybody that's going through it, because it's no easy. And as I say, you don't get any support off the doctors. They'll not give me nothing. They'll let me suffer mental torture. They'll not give me a tablet that says in case I got addicted to them. I have to live in that house on my own at night, having nightmares about my son lying in that canal for a week. That week was murder, the first week he was missing. I was climbing the walls. I knew it's not my son had been home that day. My son had never moved out the house, so I always knew his routine. I had his dinner on and I used to leave it in the microwave for him. When he worked out, he would heat it in the microwave when he came in. And his dinner was still lying there at 5 o'clock, and I was like, no, he'd been out all night, and I'm like, it's no like, because Johnny's belly would bring him home, he loved his food. You know, he was a good boy. And that's when I started, you just get a feeling there's something not right here. And that's when I reported him to the police missing. And that was the start of my nightmare. I was hoping, because he's only 28, maybe he'd met a lassie and lost track of time somewhere and that. No, because you're living in hope, but you know deep inside your soul, there's something wrong. But when you've got hope, you've got something. But then the CID came and told me that they recovered my son's body, Spears Wharf Canal. And he still not had justice. This is 2 years later and I'm still appealing for anybody that's heard anything or knows anything to come forward, because there is people that they know. Why they're not coming forward, I don't know. I pray every day maybe they're going to get a conscience today. Me and my wee daughters will get a wee bit of peace, and we're going to bring my son back. Maybe a wee bit of closure and a wee bit of justice. This could have been your boy, your brother, anybody. And I would never shed any. I wouldn't like to see you sitting here sorry here about me and Stephanie and family. You know, you want justice and all. And I thank you all for listening to me. Thank you.
You've got £100 million inquiry into child abuse. Now, me and Joe were lucky because our state, Northern Ireland, actually got found guilty of satanic, sexual and physical abuse against kids. But this documentary that me and Joe's had a gagging order on us all the way through the inquiry. Now that finished a couple of weeks ago because me and Joe's, this is our government-run inquiry. This documentary that we're going to do is going to expose how fucking corrupt the government are when it comes to a government-run inquiry. So we're flying over next month and we're actually going to document everything that me and him went through because we've got £100 million inquiry going on here in England. I would bet every penny that I have that that inquiry is not going to be the same as ours. The fucking main reason, I'm sorry for the swearing, the main reason that that inquiry is not going to be the same as ours is because there's too many politicians and hierarchy involved in that inquiry and mentioned in that inquiry. You've had 4 judges in this resign from that inquiry because they're being told you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't say this, you can't say that. So it's going to be interesting to see when this £100 million inquiry finishes the way it goes. They're not going to get the same results we. I wish to God that I could say that they would get, these victims are going to get the same results that we do. But that's not going to happen. Now, as everybody knows that knows me and Joe, we've been under a gagging order all the way through our inquiry. If me and Joe mentions any name of the people that abused us, it's a £25,000 fine or 2.5 years in prison. No, I've had millionaires say to me, Bobby, I'll put that money in your bank account tomorrow. And me and Joe hasn't said anything because we've always been on the, well, it's alright, they wouldn't, if that money was there, they'd just give me and him the 2.5 years in jail. So anyway, next month we're flying over to Belfast and we're going to, that inquiry, that's all finished now. The gagging order's gone. So we're flying over to Belfast next month, I think, and we're going to expose the whole fucking lot for how corrupt it actually is. So the names are coming out, the whole fucking lot is coming out. We're putting transcripts up from our court case, and we're going to put, they can't argue with that. You cannot argue with transcript. Anybody that spends a day in court, everything you say in court goes into writing, and we've got the whole lot. So all this miscarriage of justice, evidence that I needed on that day that I was in court, wasn't, and that's just stabbing somebody, wasn't, I stabbed a guy that was going to abuse me with a priest. And when I, halfway through the inquiry, on my day in that inquiry, no reports of this ever happening. That stabbing incident wasn't even on their records. Yet fucking 10 days later, that was brought in on somebody else's, what do you call it? And I spotted it because it was keeping an eye on inquiry. That's a miscarriage of justice in any court in this land. And that's how fucking corrupt these twats are. Because I was stood in the actual courtroom in front of a solicitor that was government. Well, I never asked for her, but I'll give her name out when we do this, and this, the whole fucking lot's coming out. Sorry for the swearing. And listen, our case was the biggest case in Europe at the time. 530 of us came forward. 90 victims committed suicide or died during our inquiry. And we're going over next month and we're going to fucking expose the corruptness, the whole lot that the system is. Because I want people to know. We need more and more people. Listen, I've got nothing for but love and respect for every single one of you that's turned up today. But you know the part that fucking breaks my heart? Where's the aunties, the uncles, the grannies, there should be fucking millions of us stood here today. Millions of us stood here today. And I've always said that when it comes to the abuse of kids, where the fuck is everybody? Where is everybody? I'm sick of having demos where when you're talking about child abuse in this country, it's the same faces that I love and respect, always. It's the same faces all the time, every town, every city that we've ever. I've done it in London, Manchester, Liverpool, I forget the places, Wales, Scotland, Ireland, I forget the places I've demoed in. And we need to start wakening more and more people up. And that's why me and Joe are going to do this documentary. Because when I put court papers up, nobody can ever call me a liar. And I'm known as it, me and Joe's known as the real truth tellers. Because that's what we do. We won the biggest court case in Europe. If all the information is there, and we're going to put the whole fucking lot out for how corrupt the government are, because they're in it. They're in it. Listen, to find the state guilty in Northern Ireland doesn't mean shit, because the probation service aren't getting dragged into court and getting done with it. The police service aren't getting dragged into court and done with it. Social services aren't getting dragged into court. So the easiest thing to say is we find the state guilty, which they did. But you know what the fucking biggest fucking... We were supposed to have a memorial built for us that was never built. The public apology that none of us ever had. And I'm not expecting that anyway, but it's what they put people through. The Northern Ireland, when they started this inquiry, the HIA inquiry in Northern Ireland, they were putting fucking leaflets through people's doors. If you were in this, someone you were abused, this, that and the other. We will give you a voice. We will listen to you. We want to hear what the stories of the abuse that you went through and what you had to suffer. Lord Hart, God bless him, he was the judge that came out of retirement to take our inquiry over. Now, I have got nothing but love and respect for that guy, for what he did, because he actually found the state guilty. But the redress board has been sent up now, and we're going to document this when we go over. So here, I'm going to fucking, this is an exclusive, because this has a government-run inquiry works. If you come forward to a government-run inquiry, and you were abused in any care home in Northern Ireland, there was 22 institutions were investigated. 22 institutions, all but one, were found guilty. So what they're doing to victims now is, this is the redress board, they're going, we don't believe the story that you told, but there's 10 grand, fuck off and don't ever speak about it again. And when me and Joe seen that this was happening, it was never about money. This was never ever about money. It was about getting justice. So this is why we're going to do this documentary, because we need to start opening. Why are fucking social services and the government and everything, they're complicit in what's going on? Because if they aren't, why the fuck are we all stood here going on about child abuse? This should be getting debated in Parliament. This should be getting debated in Parliament. Why are we all doing this? I've said that for the past 4 or 5 years. Should be us doing this. I don't get paid for doing this. I do this because I'm a victim. I'm a survivor. I have to shut up, because if I go on too much, Joe's going to end up with nothing to say. But listen, we are going to expose, and listen, see when me and Joe do this, there is nobody, and I mean fucking nobody, that can argue with the evidence that we're putting up. And this evidence, it's not just about Northern Ireland. This is the English government. Boris Johnson, when he first got in, the video's there for everybody to see. Boris Johnson actually turned round and said, It's a load of old fodder. I'm not interested in people that were abused fucking 20, 30, 40 years ago. He's actually said that live on camera, and we've got the evidence. That's fucking going up as well. But like I said, everybody, love and respect for it. This is what we need. Oh shit. This is what we need to do, because listen, we get victims all over this country. England, Scotland, Ireland and Wales. Are we all fucking lying? Are we liars? We need to fucking expose the establishment for how corrupt that they are all the way through this. And stop voting for the fucking idiots. We're voting the same shit back in again.
Yeah.
Voting the same. We need to change votes in this country and start fucking voting people into Parliament that actually give two shits about children, about forced adoption, about everything, and every single thing, that every problem in this whole country lies straight at the feet of government. You know, Labour fucked themselves up anyway. Yeah. Listen, I'm going to shut up, because if I say too much, he's not going to be able to say anything. But listen, everybody, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to each and every one of you that turned up. Listen, these demos need to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Bigger and bigger and bigger. I want millions of us on the streets when it comes to the abuse of children. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
When it comes to government, where you got the Scottish government, the Welsh government, or the English government, yeah, me and Bobby's already exposed it. 160 MPs in London that are on a sex register. Now that can be anything from, sorry for saying it, touching your secretary up to child abuse. Cyril Smith. Sorry, comprehended again. Sorry. Cyril Smith. Leon Britton, Secretary of State. Child abuser.
Lord Granville Jenner.
Jenner, child abuser. Theresa May got into Parliament. Her dad was took off the sex offenders list, off the list, sorry. Yeah, because he was a sex offender. But me and Bobby exposed it all when it comes to the British government. Me and Bobby waived our anonymity in a court of law to be able to tell the truth, even though we had a gagging order. But like I said, that gagging order is gone now, and we're no longer under that gagging order. Me, Bobby and Phil, we're going to Northern Ireland. We're going to do the documentary that desperately needs to be done, because now we can expose the government how corrupt it is. Right? I would turn round to any survivor of child abuse, and I'd rather turn round to them and go, please don't come forward. Yeah? We've lost so many lives. And it's like, excuse the pun, it's like opening Pandora's box. You gotta relive all that shit again. And a lot of survivors don't survive.